Welcome to the Bookworm Duo, where we explore a variety of books so you can find your next read. Let's get started. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Kristin Hannah's The Women.
Okay.
You ready to uncover the story, characters, and historical backdrop that make this book so captivating?
Absolutely. This novel is more than just a wartime drama. Hannah masterfully blends a compelling love story with a deep exploration of resilience set against the tumultuous backdrop of the Vietnam War.
Okay, so we're thrown right into the heart of the Vietnam War with Frankie McGrath,
Right.
a young nurse who volunteers to be closer to her brother stationed there.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how her initial motivation is so personal.
Yeah.
Yet she gets swept up in this much larger conflict.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that pull, that desire to be part of something bigger than yourself, even if the reasons are deeply personal?
It's a powerful motivator, isn't it? And Frankie, at the start, is fueled by this almost naive sense of patriotism, shaped by her father's romanticized war stories. Her family's military history, symbolized by the Hero's Wall in her father's office, speaks volumes about the legacy she's stepping into.
Yet there's this underlying tension with her mother, who carries the scars of her own father's war trauma. It makes you wonder about the ripple effects of war, how they extend beyond the battlefield and into the lives of families for generations.
That's a key theme Hannah explores. The war isn't just a distant backdrop, it infiltrates the very fabric of their lives. We see this so vividly when Frankie arrives at Tan Son Hut Air Base. The heat, the mud, the ever-present threat of attack, Hannah's descriptions are visceral, almost transporting you right into the heart of the chaos.
And it's not just the external chaos, it's the internal turmoil Frankie experiences as she transitions from this idealistic rookie nurse to someone confronting the brutal realities of war.
Yeah.
The novel doesn't sugarcoat anything.
Exactly. Think about it. She goes from tending to minor injuries to performing a field amputation under unimaginable pressure. She witnesses death on a daily basis, surrounded by the constant influx of wounded soldiers. It's a far cry from the heroic narrative she grew up with.
It's like she's being stripped of her illusions layer by layer. This stark contrast between expectation and reality. It's got to be shattering.
It is, and it's not just the physical horrors, it's the emotional toll. Hannah portrays this beautifully through Frankie's relationships with her fellow nurses, Ethel and Barb. They're complete opposites in many ways, yet their shared experiences in the war forge this unbreakable bond. It makes you realize how crucial those connections are for survival in such extreme circumstances.
It's like finding your tribe in the middle of a storm.
Precisely. And their friendship, their support for one another, becomes a lifeline in the face of unimaginable trauma. But even amidst the chaos, there's this human need for connection, for love. Frankie finds herself drawn to Jamie, a married doctor, and then there's Coyote, the charismatic pilot. It adds another layer of complexity to her journey, highlighting the fact that even in the darkest of times, the human heart still seeks solace and connection.
It's fascinating how these relationships, both platonic and romantic, weave into the larger narrative of Frankie's transformation. It's not just about her individual experience, it's about the interplay between personal desires and the larger forces at play.
And this interplay becomes even more pronounced when Frankie steps outside the confines of the base during a MedCap visit to a Vietnamese orphanage. It's a stark reminder that the war's reach extends far beyond the battlefield, impacting innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. The bombing of villages, the harrowing experiences of the Vietnamese people, these are realities that challenge Frankie's initial perceptions of the war and contribute to her growing disillusionment.
It's like she's starting to see the war with new eyes, questioning the narrative she's always accepted.
Yeah, and that disillusionment deepens when Frankie returns home.
Wow.
Imagine surviving the horrors of war only to be met with indifference,
Right.
even hostility from the very people you thought you were fighting for.
It's like a double betrayal.
Right.
First, the trauma of the war itself, and then this sense of isolation and alienation back home. It makes you wonder how veterans navigate that transition, that chasm between the world they left behind and the world they returned to.
A jarring experience.
Yeah.
Hannah captures this sense of disconnect so poignantly. Frankie struggles to fit back into her old life. Her relationship with her parents is strained,
Right.
weighed down by unspoken truths, and the inability to bridge the gap between their experiences. And beneath it all, the invisible wounds of war fester.
So how does she cope? How does she even begin to process this profound sense of loss and displacement?
It's a long and arduous journey. She tries to bury her trauma, to pretend it doesn't exist, but the past has a way of catching up with you. Eventually, She breaks down, and her admission to a psychiatric hospital becomes a turning point.
It's heartbreaking, but it also highlights the importance of seeking help, of acknowledging that these invisible wounds are just as real and debilitating as physical injuries.
Absolutely. And it's within the walls of that hospital that Frankie finds a glimmer of hope.
Mm.
She connects with other veterans who understand her pain,
Yeah.
who've walked a similar path. This sense of shared experience of finally being seen and heard becomes the first step towards healing.
It's like finding your tribe in the most unexpected of places.
Exactly. And it's a powerful reminder that even in our darkest moments, connection can be a lifeline. But healing isn't linear.
Right.
Frankie's journey is filled with setbacks and breakthroughs, moments of despair and glimmers of hope. And it's within this complex landscape that her relationship with Rye reemerges.
Rye, that enigmatic figure from her past. Their encounter at Finley's going-away party left such an impression. It's almost like fate brought them back together.
Mm.
Do you think some connections are just meant to be, even if the timing is off?
It's an interesting question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Their reunion is electric, reigniting a passion that never truly died.
Wow.
But it's also complicated by the weight of their shared past and the choices they've made in the intervening years.
It makes you think about the lasting power of first love, how those intense experiences can shape us, even if they don't last forever.
And it speaks to the complexities of human connection.
Yeah.
The ways in which our past and present collide, shaping who we are and who we become. While Frankie navigates this rekindled romance, she also grapples with another layer of her wartime experience: the political landscape surrounding the conflict. Remember those protests we mentioned earlier?
Yes, those politically charged demonstrations against the war. They seem to be bubbling beneath the surface of Frankie's personal narrative.
Exactly. They represent a growing movement, a shift in public opinion. And Frankie, having witnessed the brutality of war firsthand, finds herself drawn into the anti-war movement, confronting the complexities of a nation, grappling with the consequences of its actions.
It's interesting how Hannah seamlessly integrates these broader social and political themes into Frankie's personal journey. It reminds us that individual experiences are always interwoven with the larger historical context.
Absolutely. And Frankie's involvement in the anti-war movement becomes another facet of her healing, a way to channel her anger and disillusionment into something constructive. It's about finding her voice,
Right.
speaking truth to power, and advocating for those who've been silenced. And remember, throughout this whole journey, Frankie carries the weight of her brother's disappearance, a constant reminder of the war's unresolved trauma.
Yes. Finley's fate has been looming over the entire story. It's like a wound that hasn't been allowed to heal.
Exactly. And it's this unresolved trauma that leads Frankie to another avenue of healing and purpose. Her work with the League of POWMIA families.
This feels like a crucial turning point in Frankie's journey. It's not just about her personal healing anymore.
Yeah.
It's about advocating for others, seeking answers, and finding a way to honor those who've been lost but not forgotten.
It is a turning point. And as Frankie throws herself into this work, she finds herself grappling with another layer of complexity: her feelings for Henry. He's a good man, stable, and offering her a chance at normalcy, at a life untouched by the shadows of war.
It sounds almost like a fairy tale ending.
Right.
The war-torn heroine finding solace in the arms of a man who represents peace and stability.
You.
Do you think she truly loves him?
That's the question that haunts Frankie, and I'm sure it's one many listeners have pondered themselves. Can you ever truly escape your past, or does it always linger, shaping the choices you make?
Yeah.
She cares for Henry deeply, there's no doubt about that. But the reappearance of Rye throws everything into disarray.
It's like a ghost from her past come back to life.
Right.
And not just any ghost, but one that embodies passion adventure, a connection that defied the odds.
Exactly. And suddenly, Frankie is forced to confront her deepest desires. Is it possible to build a future with someone who represents everything the war stripped away from her? Or will she always be drawn to the intensity, the shared trauma, the undeniable bond she has with Rye? It's a choice that resonates on such a human level.
Right.
We've all faced those crossroads, haven't we?
Absolutely.
The pull between the familiar and the unknown, the safe choice versus the one that sets your soul on fire.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And often life throws us a curveball just when we think we have it figured out.
Yeah.
For Frankie, that curveball comes in the form of a devastating loss. Her miscarriage shatters her dreams of a future with Henry, forcing her to confront the fragility of life and the depth of her own grief.
It's a pivotal moment in the novel. The loss of a child is a profound experience, and for Frankie, it becomes a catalyst for radical honesty. She realizes that she can't build a life on a foundation of half-truths and unspoken feelings. It wouldn't be fair to Henry or to herself.
So she chooses herself. She chooses to walk away from a seemingly perfect life, to honor her own needs and confront her unresolved feelings for Rye. It's a bold move, one that requires immense strength and self-awareness.
It is, and it's a testament to how far Frankie has come since those early days in Vietnam. The war may have stripped away her innocence, but it also forged a resilience within her, an unwavering determination to live authentically. And it's through this act of self-discovery that she finally finds a way to integrate her past and present. She doesn't run back to Rye, nor does she seek to erase her experiences. Instead, she embraces the complexities of her journey, acknowledging the pain and the beauty, the loss and the love that have shaped who she is.
It's a powerful reminder that healing isn't about forgetting, it's about integrating. It's about finding a way to honor all parts of ourselves, even the broken pieces, and using those experiences to create a more meaningful life.
And that's what makes The Women such a resonating read. It doesn't offer easy answers or simplistic resolutions. It delves into the messy, complicated reality of human experience, showing us that even in the face of unimaginable trauma, there's still hope, still a possibility for growth and transformation.
And it's through Frankie's story that we're reminded of the power of resilience, the enduring strength of the human spirit. She doesn't emerge unscathed, but she emerges whole her scars, a testament to her journey, her heart open to the possibilities of a future she's bravely chosen for herself.
Hannah leaves us with a powerful message. The true measure of resilience lies not in forgetting the past, but in finding a way to integrate it into our present, to use our experiences, both painful and joyful, to shape who we become.
Thanks for joining us. Subscribe for more bookish adventures and hit that like button if you enjoyed the ride. Don't forget to share the knowledge and spread the word.